On my first video about Fujifilm, I mentioned that I bought a Fuji X100F last summer and then sold it later in the fall. I want to make some sort of a review and explain why I sold it and give some advice to you whether you should buy Fuji X100 camera or not. When I decided that I wanted a compact camera for my spare time, I was thinking about 1-inch sensor cameras, because they are truly compact. But eventually I decided that 1-inch sensor would be too small and limiting for me, so I needed something a bit bigger. That's when I discovered Fujifilm cameras. I got my first DSLR camera way back in 2012, and at that time I remember that Fujifilm wasn't a significant player in the camera market, let alone the professional market, so I never considered Fuji as an option for my work, which is why I never knew what they were up to. But last year I discovered that Fuji had made huge strides in their camera business and had gained a huge following. Cameras looked pretty good, and it's funny when some people jokingly say that Fujifilm is more like a piece of jewelry than a camera. So I decided to take the plunge and try out a Fujifilm camera. I was a bit hesitant at first because I wasn't sure if I would like it, and I didn't want to waste a lot of money on something new and then end up losing money by selling it if I didn't like it. So I decided to play it safe and buy one used. That way, if I didn't end up liking it, I could just sell it for the same price I bought it for. The thing that attracted me to X100 series was the compact size, good sensor, and the fact that it had a fixed lens. I already had one camera system with a few lenses, and I didn't want to have to buy another system and lenses just for this camera. Long story short, in the middle of summer I began searching for a used X100 camera and eventually got an X100F in black color. And let me tell you, the X100F did not disappoint. Holding it in my hands was a pleasure, the ergonomics were spot on, and all the dials were a joy to use. Plus, I think it looks great in black, but let me know if you prefer silver more and why. With that excitement, I began testing this camera here and there to see what it was capable of. I got into film recipes and started experimenting with those settings. The X100F did a good job for me. I even put it in auto mode and used only the exposure compensation dial. It was what I wanted out of compact camera, not to worry about specs and just shoot. I did some portraits with it, took it with me on a family vacation, took it to the seaside, friend's wedding, and also on trip to England. I even shot with it few pictures of Red Bull F1 show in my city. And after some time I decided to sell it. You see, as I work in the photography industry, I tend to know about it a little bit more than the general public. So my initial need for an undetachable lens came back to me. After some time I noticed that here and there it would be nice to have another focal length. And yes, you can zoom with X100F, but it is a digital zoom. the image gets cropped and therefore quality is sacrificed. So this thought of not being able to change lenses started circulating in my mind, and the feeling of missing out on particular shots had made me a little upset. And I started to think about selling my X100F. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I've come to realization that if I were to hold on to my Fujifilm camera, it might start to demotivate me to take it with me. I would find myself constantly thinking about what kind of pictures I might take in the places I'm heading to. And if the thought of taking some close-up shots comes to mind, I might start to think that there's no point in bringing my camera with me at all. Like, what's the point of carrying it around if I can take half the shots I want to? And honestly, that's what had happened to me a few times. I didn't want my desire for shooting to be taken away by the thing that sparked it in the first place. If you found a new spark of motivation and interest, you should harness it. The other solution was to buy optical attachments that would change the focal length, but the price of those was almost as much as for a lens, and I thought that in the future it would be harder to sell them compared to normal lenses. Also, in my opinion, they look kinda ugly on the camera. I think that more advanced photographers could consider the Fujifilm X100 series cameras as an option if they already have a similar option with detachable lenses and have spare money and want a highly compact camera in their gear lineup. Despite this, I can still confidently say that the X100F was one of the best cameras that I have owned, because it gave me a true pleasure by using it and taking pictures. I am glad it brought back the joy of photography when you don't have to think about a client that you're working for and about all that pressure that comes with it. With Fuji, I could just take it with me, put it around my neck and take a few pictures just by walking around, or not. It still gave me a nice feeling from an aesthetic point of view. In the end, if you are considering buying one of the X100 cameras, think about how much experience you have in photography and whether the limitations of the X100 cameras will be an issue for you. If they won't, then you will be happy with this camera. And if they will, you may want to consider an option with detachable lenses. For me, at this time, my journey with the Fuji X100F camera has come to an end. If you want to find out what camera I chose instead, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss my future videos. Also, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment with your opinion. I'm really interested to find out if there are more people like me who couldn't live with the X100 camera's limitations or those who embrace it. But for now, have a nice day and keep shooting!